Welcome to another episode of the LoG Dynasty cast. We're here twice in 1 week after a 2 month hiatus. So, finally got the champ here and all his favorite people. So, welcome, David. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations,
Thank you.
David.
Congrats.
So
Well,
was this the fourth time you were in the championship? Is that what Jordan
I
said?
thought I thought it was just the third.
was it just the third? Okay. I swear I thought
I
you
just
said this
had
was your
I
fourth at some point. So, I just took your word for it, maybe, or something.
yeah, no, I think because I did back to back championship games with against Jordan and then against Waldrip,
Yeah.
losing both.
Yeah.
And then I was a little defeated.
And
Lost interest for a couple years and
then you
then
had a little break, and
came
then
back.
you're back. You're back
Yeah.
at it.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, 3 or 4, it doesn't matter. That's awesome going that many times. So, yeah, congrats winning the Dynasty League, the big change into Dynasty, and you get to head it off with a victory. So, I it was very
Yeah.
impressive season. I'm very
It
impressed.
really was.
Thank you.
Um,
If it didn't turn out my way, I didn't know what I was gonna do.
yeah. So
But I'm glad it
yeah, so one thing I was
nice
gonna do today was I was gonna look at like some of your trades, but then I realized Sleeper is like pretty lame and didn't keep our history for trades.
yeah.
Well, you even if you go back to 2022,
I think I could go back to 2022, but it was prep before the show was not enough. So,
yeah.
but we
Well,
could
I
I'll definitely need your guys' help to remember all the
yeah.
trades and things like that. But I kind of want
If
to
I if I
start.
just click on his if I click on his players, it tells you the history, so we can see where they came
Yeah,
from.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's where
So
I found it.
well, that would be helpful. But yeah, we'll talk about trades. I want to start with the draft. You had a big draft, so I think I actually remember not even loving your draft that much. If I was like when I was
Yeah,
like grading
pe- people were shitting on me.
it.
Well, if I remember right, you had no running backs when
I
the
did not.
draft ended.
Which is crazy because you ended up with a ton.
Yeah.
So
Who was
three
your
three top 10.
who was your first round pick?
My very first round pick was Cooper Cup.
Cooper Cup, integral piece to the championship.
Yeah,
He was
He's
pretty good.
he definitely got me there.
Yeah.
he's still like the 15th highest scored wide receiver for the year. Like somewhere around there.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess I said I started with your draft, but I actually want to know more importantly. We might have Aki back here, or we have a small child coming to his camera. Who knows? I'm excited. There he is. Welcome, Aki. So we just started. I'm glad you're here. So we've got
Sorry about that.
Aki, we've got
I had
Matt,
to
and we've got
plug in
Penny.
my minivan.
I should have introduced Penny because haven't had either Penny or David on the show yet. So that's my bad.
First time, long time.
First time, long
Yeah.
time. Glad you're here. So, but yeah, this is awesome. We got the 5 box going. Really testing my technical abilities here.
First time we've had 3 playoff teams on the podcast at the same time.
Wow, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I didn't get-
Normally it's just a bunch of bottom feeders.
Normally a bunch of bottom feeders, yeah. So here we are making a podcast about our league that just ended, which is pretty crazy. But Dynasty's a whole new beast. We've had trades already and all kinds of stuff. But David, this show is all about you. We don't even have to hear about Aki's really super interesting trades for $10 of fab. So so let's go back to your draft. So you drafted Cooper Cup first, and I thought
I
that
did, and
that was a smart move.
and the decision was down between either Cooper Cup or Christian McCaffrey. It's my main decision going into it. So glad I was able to end up with Christian McCaffrey as well.
Absolutely,
Mm.
absolutely. Who else? So I remember you got one of your picks that you got Amon Ra St. Brown.
In the
Middle?
4th.
I think
Yeah, it wasn't my second either. Yeah, it was. I think it was the fourth.
that was a great pick, and actually you got to see him live, right?
Yeah, it's, week 2. I went to the Lions game, saw him tear it up.
That is very cool. Like I don't think I've ever seen. Okay, I have seen. I did see Josh Gordon live. at a Bengals game. That was pretty sweet that one year, but he let me down in the playoffs. But that was awesome. So you got Amon-Ra St. Brown, you got Mahomes,
I mean,
right?
the
I
fifth
think
round.
Mahomes would have been my second pick.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you must have traded your third pick, I'm assuming, whoever that was.
I think that's it. Like that's the interesting thing. You kind of, I mean, not that James Conner was terrible, but like your third and fourth round picks, Deontay Johnson and James Conner didn't do much for you, but it was Amon-Ra and then Tony Pollard at the sixth that
Yeah.
really anchored everything.
James Conner was good when he played.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely like carried me like when I needed him most. Like he stepped up, so I feel like
Yeah.
definitely like got lucky along the way.
Starting in week 10, it was 22, 12, 25, 20, 16, 21.
Yeah, basically what he did last year. Like just kind of turned it up second half of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So you get Mahomes for the rest of his career if you want it. That's pretty awesome. I think everybody's a little bit jealous of that after some of those flip passes.
Well, there was definitely times like during the year where I legitimately thought about trading him away, especially when like after Cooper Kupp got hurt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had some serious talks about Justin Fields until I traded him away for good old DeAndre Swift.
And there's maybe some Trevor Lawrence action from my brother before he went to Zach.
I mean, neither one would have been bad options, I don't think. But yeah, oof. But yeah,
but I think I'm glad I'm glad the way it turned out with getting rid of Kupp and getting Hill. So
yeah, it's pretty cool that you have Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes on your team, even though they're not on the same team in real life anymore. But yeah, so that's pretty cool for you. I guess I talked a little bit about your team like long term, but we can talk about that later. So Tony Pollard was a huge pick later on in your draft. That was he was amazing this past year. I mean, top 12 running back. He crushed it for you, kind of unexpectedly. Like maybe you thought he'd be a flex, and ended up being much more than that.
And had some crazy like boom weeks.
Yeah.
But that's awesome.
Yeah,
I think it's in the back of my head. Like I remember listening to like one segment that like the fantasy footballers had on him, and they liked him for the year, so that's why I went with him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it panned out for you. I guess one question. So was there ever a time when you were thinking about kind of blowing it all up? I think everybody has that thought in Dynasty at some point.
No, I think I did the exact opposite. Just because I don't know, deep down, I guess I thought like if it was like this would have been my best shot, just because everyone was kind of so new to it, they didn't have like a good feeler of how it was going to go. So I think I was, well, I guess like there were some trades going on at the draft, but and I guess at that point Alex had already given up. He had already made the Travis Kelce trade. I guess I was
the
infamous. When they gave up my first round picks. So no, like I never decided to blow it up. Like I was always going to go all in and get rid of my picks if I needed to, because I think drafting is always like kind of like my weakest point, especially going forward because I don't really follow college football.
Yeah, that was going to be another question. Are you a big college football guy? Because I feel like people who are much more likely to keep their picks and think that they're gonna draft an awesome player.
My rookie picks it's just going to be a guess in the dark. So,
well, the good thing is they all are. So unless you're like a pro scout, and even then you get it wrong. So
yeah, I mean, David, I hadn't looked at a draft board in a long time, but like this is very impressive. Just based on the fact that, like, after Pollard in the 6th, I mean, you have Singletary in the 7th, Freiermuth in the 8th, and then, like, a bunch of guys who, developmental players, right? Like, you put together a juggernaut with, like, 4 draft picks that really anchored your team. So, yeah, I don't know, like, and I guess, the Jamal Williams trade helps, but, like, you spent your trade capital very well.
Yeah. I guess would we say that was the McCaffrey trade the best trade of the season, or were there for a contender?
Well, what was the trade again? Can you remind me?
So It was 2 firsts and 2 seconds for McCaffrey and Hunt.
No, because that like you basically got McCaffrey for that. Like Hunt was pretty much a non-factor, right? Like
Well, that was in week 2 that happened. So he just came off his best game of the whole season.
Week 1, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only week you didn't have him.
I looked at his scores. I was like, oh my gosh, week 1 was it. Like he peaked. I remember thinking like Kareem Hunt was the big steal of the draft after week 1.
When did McCaffrey get traded to San Francisco? In week 5 or 6? So this is well before that too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
And he boomed after that.
I think his first week with the 49ers, he even had a crazy good game.
Yeah.
And then I think after that, it was kind of more average, but it's still like double digits. And then he kind of got in the rhythm again.
Yeah, it must have been interesting having McCaffrey and then like a big trade goes down. You're like, oh, is he gonna still be that dude? Like, is he still gonna score?
I was very nervous.
Yeah, but fortunately he's a god, so that's that. So, well, I guess were you like when you were watching that last game? You know, were you sitting at home? Were you out at a bar? Or like, what was going through your head then? Like, were you just
I was at
sweating
home.
bullets?
I was because I felt like it was always pretty close in our point structure. One play could have swung it in either way. Even like when like Waldrop even came in and said that he was basically calling on it at his end, I still didn't believe it because I feel like could have been like one play and he would have been back in it. So to the very end, I was still kind of pessimistic. Didn't want to give up hope.
Well, yeah, because the one play.
And I immediately started looking at championship rings.
Yes. Do you have it with you?
I send the first one back to get it resized.
Fair enough.
I asked David if he bought it before, like on Friday before, and he said no, he waited, but I don't know if I believe him.
There's no way David would have bought it before.
Not exactly. That would have been the third loss. Like, no, I would have been.
That'd have been the fourth ring he's bought that he couldn't show off.
Well, you're gonna get the trophy. You're gonna write your name on the trophy. I don't know if you noticed, but
wait, you guys don't do that?
It's not been touched since like 2012 or something like that.
Oh well, that's got to change.
Yeah.
I'll be heartbroken if my name is not on there.
My name's not on it. It's not on there. So I just carried it around for a couple of years. Well, cool. So I guess we've talked about the Christian McCaffrey trade. I'm going to be honest. I looked at that Jamal Williams trade. I really want to bring it up now.
Yeah.
I looked at it and I thought, this is terrible. I legitimately didn't understand it. I knew it was a pick that was super far away, but I did not believe in that dude.
Wait,
impressive.
There were also 3/3?
Yes.
What?
3/3 and a first.
What?
Okay, so
yeah, Penny, walk us through this.
Okay, so Matt knows this better than anyone, even David. I think that I have extreme trade anxiety. And I'd like to read a text that happened September 30th of this year, right before the trade happened. David Lewis, this has nothing but upside for you. You don't need Williams now, and gives you a lot of trading power for when you need it. Then I reply, I have extreme trade anxiety at all times, in all caps. He says, this is a good one, though. It's for a bench spot that I need since both my RBs are hurt. Haha. It doesn't hurt your team at all.
Because Williams was on your bench at that point. And that was before Cordero Patterson went down.
Well,
very next game.
That was my internal strife, was Cordero Patterson, if I wanted to keep him on my starting lineup, or keep Jamal, or, I was going to counter with a Cordero Patterson trade to give to DL. So I went back and forth. Cordero So the trade happened between week 3 and 4. And in weeks 1 and 3, Cordero Patterson, I think, scored over 30 points in each game. So it was like easy peasy. He's going to do maybe at least 75% of this for the rest of the season. That was optimistic.
Well, technically, I think he did that, but like in total for the rest of the season, did 75%
Exactly.
of what he did in those 2 games.
Exactly. I pushed the trade through. I immediately saw a tweet from Adam Schefter that reads, Falcons RB Cordero Patterson is listed as questionable for Sunday versus the Browns due to a knee injury. He goes on the IR, and I say to David, this was like minutes later. You fucking see this. 5 seconds after I push your trade through. And he plays stupid. He's like, oh, what do you mean? So you're right. In total, Cordero was like a value, but nothing compared to Jamal Williams. I watched Hard Knocks. I thought he was a character. David and I even talked about it at the draft, and he was like, I'm eyeing Jamal Williams for sure. I love that guy. It's like, me too. I probably took him around before I needed to, but I wanted him on my team. But I in that moment, I only dwindled it down to either Cordero or Jamal, and I was like, yeah, fuck it. He's gonna be sitting behind the bench behind DeAndre Swift, so who do I care?
Little did you know.
Little did I know he'd like, I don't know, is he second in touchdowns behind Austin Eckler this year or something?
No, I think he's first.
He's first, yeah.
Okay.
Basically got like 2 a game or something stupid for a while.
Every 1 yard play for Detroit, they'd send in Jamal and he'd score, of course.
He also like dresses like Naruto, and
oh yeah, he's just
like
a Pokemon nerd and a great dude that I would love to have on my team.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm worried this is just the last trade you're ever going to make for the rest of Dynasty.
Well,
I think it might have been.
I feel like I tried to give him everything I had for Derrick Henry later and wouldn't budge.
But so I get that you were worried, but you were picking between Jamal Williams and Cordero Patterson, but just the first wouldn't have been enough. Just 1/3 wouldn't have been enough.
How'd that negotiation go?
That was more on me.
Just 2/3 wouldn't have been enough.
It was more because I feel like I did this with Eddie too, and my whole strategy after the Christian McCaffrey trade, like knowing I'm all in, I was very just short-sighted. Like I would immediately just go, what would I need this player to win this next game? And that's where like trying to go after Jamal Williams or Taysom Hill or Evan Ingram like came from. So I think the way that so many picks like always got added in is I would immediately just go back and be like, "Are you all right? You're still thinking about it? If I add this another trade, like would that make what do I need to add like to make you say yes right now?"
Yeah.
And I think like that happened with Eddie too. Ultimately, with like the Tyreek Hill trade, and like throwing like basically like my last good pick in there as well. So.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed our Evan Ingram talks because I was like, I mean, somebody did just literally offer me a third for him. I forget who it was. And I was like, nah, I don't think so. And I told you that. And it was like instantly you came back with a second. And I was like, okay, I'll take it. but then he became the number 2 tight end of the year.
Yeah.
What was that?
I'm pretty proud. I feel like every trade I made besides Taysom Hill, every trade I made, like that player won me at least one game. Like at that point, well, you got McCaffrey, Williams, Lockett, and Ingram. I don't know if there was other trades in there that I'm forgetting about.
Did you trade Freiermuth to me? I forget.
That was for Taysom Hill, because that was after his third concussion.
Yes, yeah, I remember that.
And that was after that was like the week after Tua had his second concussion. And everyone had his eyes on it. So I just felt like
I mean,
Freiermuth is definitely going to be more of a long-term hold, and like that's when I just kind of decided to steer clear.
I mean, Freiermuth he's had so many concussions that it's questionable if he's going to play long-term. So who knows? Yeah. These are crazy. All these concussions, like Tua and him. I'm just like nervous for all these guys.
So you had the 2nd ranked tight end and the 3rd ranked tight end on your team, David?
Was Taysom Hill the 3rd?
Yeah.
Yeah, because of his dumb weeks.
One game, he scored 40. No,
He
I think it was just
ruined
one
he
jump.
ruined my bid for a pick. I mean, like he single-handedly made my max points for like way too high because of a week or two or something stupid.
Yeah, I think Taysom's best week after that like 40 or 50 point game he had was in the championship week, and he got like 12 points.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's around there.
Before we move on completely from the Jamal Williams trade, I don't know if this will make Penny feel better or worse, but I just pulled up his last 5 seasons of like total season-long fantasy points. It was 104, 132, 112, 106, 236. Like double what he's had at any other point in his career.
I mean, he almost had like 20 touchdowns or something stupid.
17, I think.
Yeah.
There
I
was
mean,
salt in the wound too. That I was listening to. I don't remember what it was. It might have been the Packers last game, and they were talking about how Jamal Williams was like a utility back for them for a while, and they are now, of course, I mean, they have Aaron Jones and AJ or the other guy,
Dylan.
AJ Dillon, but I swear I like loved him for the same reasons DL did, of course, and you know, I just the greater of two evils I chose.
I mean,
I'll
every
turn it
other
back to you.
person in your position would accept that trade like 100% of the time. So like you can't be too hard on yourself, but that's the crazy thing about Dynasty. You know, it got David a championship, so that's great. Now, if you would have kept,
Nobody else would have run it up to 3 third-rounders.
yeah, exactly. But I mean, if you kept him, I'm not sure your team would have won a championship. So, and in reality, this is, I mean, that's probably the most value you're gonna get. Like, is anybody gonna give you a first now for Jamal Williams? I don't think so, but maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. Alex is about to get a 26 pick.
He is about to get 2026 picks, so yeah, maybe he's listening, but he's probably turned his phone off forever for a while now, at least. But yeah, that's a crazy trade. I love that trade. That's definitely going to go down as one of the best trades, just because of how it all worked out. I mean, a journeyman running back. He's 28. Like, never had a great season. He's always been like the second guy. You maybe flex this dude if you have to. Like that's how you think about him. And then he becomes the league leader in touchdowns. What a crazy team. I do love the Lions. They are just so fun to watch.
Oh yeah,
they are such a fun
points
team.
machine. Yeah.
Should we talk about the Tyreek Hill heist?
Yeah, we can talk about the
Heist.
Tyreek Hill trade. Was it a straight 1-for-1 for Cup?
Cup plus the 15th pick in the draft.
Cup plus your pick that I traded. Okay, so yeah, I traded him that pick for Deontay Johnson, and then
it was a fair trade on Keep Trade Cut.
For Tyreek.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I could believe that.
But it's not a heist.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call it a heist, but I would certainly take the guy who's healthy and producing well over the guy who's not, and older. But
I mean, when Cooper Kupp comes back from his major knee injury when he's 30, and Baker Mayfield is throwing him the ball with like Smith as the head coach, I think
it's a tough looking situation now. I mean, at the time we didn't know.
I mean, also like, but Kupp's been in the league less time than Tyreek Hill, and he's never really relied on his athleticism, so it doesn't matter as much. Like, an injury for Cooper Kupp is he's probably the most injury. His game, at least, is the one least likely to be affected of the top wide receivers.
But he doesn't have AC joint sprains. He has world tears and like stuff that keeps you out of the game.
Is he still even on Eddie's team?
No, that was the point.
With Zach,
Eddie was supposed to wait until he could get a first for him next year, but of course Eddie is impatient and doesn't listen to anything I tell him to do.
So he's got okay. I forgot that the dream team Zach has Cooper Kupp in addition to all his other
and
stuff.
Calvin Ridley.
That might turn out nice though.
For Tyreek, like Deshaun Watson is Deshaun Jackson is 40 and is still like in the league because speed apparently ages well.
Yeah.
It's Deshaun Jackson's speed has aged well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, Tyreek's going to be good for several more years. Will Cooper Cup still be good afterwards, after his knee injury?
They both have tentative QB situations too.
Actually, that's true. Tyreek has a pretty questionable QB situation going forward. Maybe it's Tom Brady next year. That wouldn't be so bad. I just saw that report, so that would be
Derek
pretty
Carr,
interesting.
maybe.
Derek Carr, maybe. Yeah, those have all been pretty interesting things. But
I think I'd rather have Derek Carr in this situation, right? Tom Brady didn't really.
Yeah, I don't know. Derek Carr's so underwhelming.
I mean, Devontae Adams was still did pretty good with Derek Carr this year.
I think I could throw to Devontae Adams. I'm pretty convinced.
It doesn't matter. He could have two guys covering him. He's still catching it.
Okay, so you kept Mahomes, even though all the kind of you thought about trading him, but
were we talking about my wide receiver 3, Devontae Adams?
Yes, we were. Congratulations. You have D Hop, you have AJ Brown. That's a great looking team. For a year or two. We'll see. The Evan Ingram trade, I feel like we didn't talk about it enough. That was really surprising that he popped off. I mean, it was a good landing spot for him in Jacksonville. And so when I saw Waldrop dropped him, I thought, oh yeah, I need to get this guy. And he never really did much for me. Like, he was startable, but he was like I guess in our league, because it's a 14-team league and tight end is a wasteland. But yeah, he was just a guy. He felt like just a guy. But then you swooped in and Trevor figured it out kind of at the same time. Do you feel good about your tight end room going forward? Are you happy with it? No, okay. I wasn't sure like the level of confidence right now you have going into next year with like Taysom, and you got Hayden Hurst and Tyler Conklin as well.
I don't know why I don't know why we're saying like Taysom isn't like he's not going to be viable at all going forward.
I feel like tight end's so bad that like if you have a dude that maybe could just win you the week by himself in your lineup, like that's not a bad move.
Like everyone else says people that are going to score them 4 points. So if your guy scores either 0 or 30.
Yeah. He's really not that bad of an option. But okay. Well, I guess we should talk about your future a little bit. Just a little bit. And I talked about it on the last show just a little too. With the draft coming up, you heading out acreage?
Yeah, sorry.
So you're good.
Yeah, gotta run. Sorry.
All right.
So I still have Zach's. I have Zach's 2023 third.
How did you get Zach's 23 third?
We need like a tree that shows us like all these trades, the history of it. That would be really nice. But yeah, so you brought up Tyler Lockett. You brought up that trade. I was looking at your contract, but we were talking about like kind of going forward. I was thinking about talking about that now. But you did want to bring up the Tyler Lockett trade. Tyler Lockett's he has like a 4-year contract right now. I mean, he's older on the older side, but he's still locked up, I guess, pun intended, whatever. But for a long time there, and that offense looks pretty good. So, what did you end up giving for Lockett?
Just Devin Singletary,
and he got Lockett in a third back.
That's a good deal. That is a strong deal. Yeah, Singletary, we'll see what he does with the running back roulette that is this offseason. I think he's a free agent. So we'll see if they keep him or if they draft somebody. They've got James Cook. They've got Nyheim Hines. We'll see what Buffalo does. I doubt they use an early pick on a running back because they just used a second on one. But
Gibbs is mocked to them in every single draft.
That's so strange to me. I don't know why they'd want somebody like the same size as Cook.
Like, let's just get someone that's a slightly better version of James Cook.
Yeah,
maybe more than slightly, but
he's more than slightly for sure. Like he's amazing, but so I get it. But yeah, that seems like a weird spot. Given what they're doing, but anything could happen.
I felt like a genius having Naheem Hines as soon as he was traded to Buffalo.
Yeah.
They're gonna lock him. I mean, just
I mean,
flat out the backfield, just touchdown machine. And then,
it's funny too. And then there's somebody on the opposite side like me, right? So I see that trade and I'm with James Cook and I'm like, oh man, like he hadn't even played that well late, at that point when that trade happened. He'd like done a couple things, but not much. I was like, okay, that's it. They're just tired of him. Like they brought in Hines, he's done for, and he ends up having like a pretty good season the rest of the way. It's so confusing. Trades in the NFL. First of all, they don't happen that often, so they're always pretty exciting when they do. But that trade seems like just a special teams trade at this point. But we'll see. So anyway, you got Lockett for Singletary. His future's murky, so all that was cash money for you, and you needed it for your wide receiver room. I mean, I'm looking at your wide receivers, right? You've got Tyreek and you've got Amon-Ra, who are two studs, and that's awesome. Like, you can't ask for much more in a wide receiver room with those two guys. But after that, it gets pretty murky for you in terms of like who you're going to start each week. And Lockett is a really nice to have, I feel like.
Yeah.
I found where you got your third from, David.
What's that?
You traded Curtis Samuel and Jacoby Myers for Hayden Hurst and a third-round pick.
Right. Lots of trades. So many trades.
I think that was right at the trade deadline, so you couldn't immediately turn around and trade the third.
So, I guess how confident are you going into year 2 to like repeat? Like, you're probably not even thinking about that yet, but maybe it's crossed your mind.
I'm not gonna say like I'm going after a repeat. I'm hoping my players are good enough where they can keep their value, and I might appreciate a little bit, and maybe offload some at their peak.
It's like Wall Street bets or something.
Well, I think David and Matt both have a really nice like trump card for all the rest of the top 4 because they have AJ Brown and Amon-Ra St. Brown, so they have 2 young pieces that they can rebuild around, trade everyone else away for draft picks, and already have that going for them. And David also has Mahomes on top of that, so if you've got quarterback and a young wide receiver locked in, then if something happens, then you could probably get at least 1 first for McCaffrey during the year next year, maybe 2 if he's still playing well. So I think David could easily, if he wanted to, like jump to the top of the rebuilders, even if he wanted to take a step back.
Yeah, it's you're starting to realize like how nice it is to have a young good player, right? Because I can keep that guy, I can build around him, or if you trade him, he's worth like a lot. either way, if you really need to like just hit the complete reset button, maybe they can get you.
I think a big factor is you kind of brought it up in your other podcast with Tony Pollard and Kareem Hunt going into free agency. I feel like it could swing either way, like whether if it will be beneficial or hurt them. So I could get lucky and they could both end up in better situations. And that will like give me more depth.
Absolutely.
So,
and Jamal Williams too, but I really do think he's re-signing. Like I almost signed him for simply. I think the Lions fan base would be so upset if they let him go. But yeah, no, that's a really good. That could be a really good thing for your team. It could hurt your team.
That'll probably be the deciding factor whether if I move towards a rebuild or go again.
Well, all you have to do is you can just trade McCaffrey and Hill and pretty much get all your firsts back that you traded away.
Yeah, those guys are awesome. Yeah, so you're in a good spot now. Not everybody's in such a great spot. They went all in with their picks. You don't have any picks left that are a whole lot valuable, but you got like a 2025 second, I think. Is what I saw. But
yeah, get 2026 picks as well.
You do get 2026, yeah, and you could just trade them right away. Do you guys think that as soon as the draft's over, we're gonna have some trades happen? Yeah.
I do.
Basically, if Penny's willing to give up Derrick Henry.
Yeah, that's gonna be tough. Will you ever give up? Well, will you trade again? Have we decided
Will he ever?
that?
Will he ever trust again?
I no. Short answer, no. But of course, yes. If someone backs up the Brinks truck, as they say.
Yeah.
I
I
like
think
where I am
Anthony
with
is the
my wide
only.
receiver. Go ahead.
I think Anthony's the only person that made the playoffs that has a first round pick this year.
Yeah, that's true. I have Chase's. Obviously, Waldrop gave him all away.
Bryce
yeah.
have his, or I don't think Bryce. has his.
Bryce traded
Mm-mm.
his away for Austin Eckler. That was a pretty good trade.
Yeah. That might have been a better trade than Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, a first and a second, and I don't even know some player. Tyrion Davis Price.
Tyrion Davis Price, but he got
the backup
Eckler and Kelly. Yeah.
Kelly, yeah. But first and a second, basically for Eckler is a pretty good deal. I think anybody would do that right now.
I think especially in a dynasty league, I am apprehensive to trade. In a regular non-dynasty league, but with a rookie draft being so unknown, I mean, there's professionals that get that shit wrong all the time. And I guess I don't know. Maybe maybe I should have just traded them all like DL, or I feel like the more I have, the better shot I have to get in the stud somewhere.
Maybe
I don't
that's
know.
something to where you didn't go like 5 weeks in a row without scoring any points at your tight end position.
But a lot of people had that problem. Just not to the same extent, I guess.
And I should have known. Darren Waller got paid. He had an injury, his hamstring, put him on the IR. But like, it's just too. It's too much of a coincidence that it came right after he got extended. I don't know.
Well, that team was a nightmare.
Yeah, exactly.
Josh McDaniels is a. That's why, and I keep trying to just convince myself that this is smart. But trading away Devontae and Josh Jacobs at the beginning of the year, I was like, this team is awful looking. Like they don't know what to do. But they did know what to do with those two players. They did know what to do with those two guys.
Did you trade away the first running back and the second running back and the third wide receiver?
I did, yeah. I did. I would have had a good team.
So are we going to go back out to see who had like the best draft class? Like what the order would have been if everyone has kept their
I think it's almost definitely Jordan.
I had a great draft. Yeah, Austin Eckler, number 1 running back. My second draft pick was Devontae Adams, number 3 wide receiver. My third pick was DK Metcalf, who is like a top 12 wide receiver. Then I picked Chris Godwin. He was pretty good. Then I picked Josh Jacobs, number 2 running back. Then I picked Ayuk, who I got back.
Trey Lance is in here somewhere.
And then I picked Trey Lance. And then it all kind of went downhill. I got Tony somewhere around there, Trey McBride. But the start of my draft was banging. So, oh well, shit happens. So, I don't think I would have won. I actually did this math in my head because, I'm crazy like that. I looked at week 16. It was an awful week for all those players except Austin Eckler. So I don't think I would have won a championship this year, but I certainly would have a great team and probably be in a much better spot going into next year. So there's that.
I think what you need for Anthony's trade reluctance, it's like more and less permanent than redraft. Because like in Dynasty, if you trade someone away, you can always trade back for them later. Like it might be a different, you might have to pay something different, more or less.
Yeah, it's there's more like, I've talked about this before, but there's like more natural trade partners. At some point you're gonna get to you're either gonna blow it up. You need to blow up your roster, or you're trying to make your roster better, and there's gonna be somebody in the exact opposite situation who's needs to improve their team in some way. So it just makes it easier to trade. I know it's hard to trade and it's scary to trade in some ways, and some people are the exact opposite and trade too much, like myself. But you just got to think about what's better for your team long term, because you got to stare at it next year, right? It's your team next year again. So it's just it's a tough situation, but I think we all learned a lot on the trading front this year. a lot of lessons learned. So maybe we can be a little smarter going into this year. I don't know if you guys want to do any predictions for the next year. Have any thoughts on what's going to happen? Bottom dwellers or champs, playoff teams, things like that. Do we feel like it's going to change that much?
Well, I think Anthony's going to have to make moves if he wants to stay in the playoffs next year. I don't think he can just. I don't think he can roll out the same team. I know he's got a bunch of draft picks, so there's that.
Mm-hmm.
My running backs are aging. Of course, Derrick Henry being the front runner there. I like where I am with my young wide receivers, as either part of my lineup or in a trade.
Oh, interesting.
Except
what was
Chris
that?
Olave. Except Chris Olave. No, you're right. I'll be stagnant if I don't do anything. So.
Well, I think Herbert should be better next year. He was kind of.
I think so too, and hopefully Terry McLaurin will have a stable quarterback next year, and
he's got some competition with Jahan. He's my boy. That's
and the other guy, their third wide receiver is a stud too.
Yeah, Curtis Samuel. Yeah,
Curtis Samuel's good too.
He had a pretty good start to the year. Yeah,
but I'm hoping he can stay as the ace there. But yeah, I'm glad I can hang my hat on Justin Herbert.
If I didn't have 5 guys on my team in the same situation, like that whole buy low situation, I would be buying Terry McLaurin right now. I'd be trying to trade something for him because I'm addicted. I mean,
because you already have DJ Moore.
Yeah, I have DJ Moore. I have Deontay Johnson. I have Ayuk, Bateman. Like Ayuk's pretty good though. Like pretty proven at this point.
Anthony, didn't I offer you Patrick Mahomes and Cooper Kupp for Derrick Henry and Justin Herbert?
It wasn't.
I'm pretty sure I got. I think I got Olave in this situation too.
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, you would have to give up all those guys
and some fab.
Would you get any picks back? So you would get Mahomes
he got
and Kupp?
He got my picks and he got Mahomes.
Okay.
And he gave up Herbert and Henry and Olave.
Oh, so this is like similar to me trading for Mahomes at some point for Justin Fields. I think like we were like building trades off of that. I remember these trades.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think
my mental math was like it was just Patrick Mahomes for Derrick Henry and Chris Olave, and I was like, that's not worth it to me.
Well, Olave's pretty studly, so
and a first, yeah.
And a first, yeah.
But
I don't have I have 4 Tennessee Titans on my team, either taxi, bench, or starting lineup.
Chig.
I know Chig will remain. I'm excited for him. I know he's there right now. Kyle Phillips, I don't know about, but we'll have to see. But I can't be that loyal going forward.
I mean,
but who knows? Titans
see.
might draft another wide receiver in the first round. We never know.
You could overpay for the one they drafted last year.
That ship has sailed.
What?
Why would you want? Do you want to just do Traylon Burks for Chris Olave straight up?
Yeah, he would do that.
We're not doing it on the cast. Just
come on,
sip on it.
First trade on the podcast.
First trade on the podcast. I was really
sip on it.
We need somebody to trade during the podcast. That'd be fun to have a trade break during the podcast. But yeah.
Trade Quake 3.0. I'll give you 2 fab for your 5th round pick in 2026.
Yeah, exactly. I do think that was that was an interesting trade that could change some things. D-Hop and Rashad White for Mixon, basically. I guess there was a second in there somewhere for Mixon, but We'll see.
There was a second in there. You're right.
Yeah, so Mixon. So Bryce has a ton of running backs next year, which is not shocking because that's like Bryce, fantasy football 101. Every time you see his team, but AK now has the 3 wide receivers of doom. Depending on where Hopkins goes, I guess it doesn't even really matter. Hopkins is amazing, but he's also old.
And Hopkins has a no trade clause, so he's going to go somewhere good.
Yeah, he will end up in a good situation. So, yeah, I don't know. Any other thoughts? Any other thoughts, David? Like, what's any parting thoughts? Anything you want to say to Waldrop? Any anything going through your head?
Waldrop hasn't earned a break from the WhatsApp group after he lost the championship. He has not earned that.
Yeah.
I think he should have had to sit there and take David's gloating.
I don't think I've gloated.
And I think you should have gloated more.
You could have gloated more, yeah. You did buy a ring, and I thought that was pretty hilarious. And you had that very quickly. Like, Amazon was like, hey, David, did you just win a championship? I'll get you that ring in a couple hours.
I feel like we should make that a staple. Like, everyone puts in like $5.
Yeah.
To,
we don't want to
buy
do
the
money in
champ
this
or-
league. That would be crazy. That's probably the best part about this league. I feel like it's everyone always asks me. It's like I might like ask for trade advice or something like that. And like, how much is the pot in that league that you guys are playing in? I'm like, oh, nothing. I just want to beat my friends.
And we do a podcast for it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, cool. Well, congrats. It was a big win, and hopefully many more for you.
Yeah, good job, champ. Whatever.
Yeah.
I do like that it was against Waldrop, not the fact to be mean, but just like I don't think
The final
The
boss.
redemption.
I feel like I've definitely like lost more to Waldrop than I've won, and it felt pretty good to win and get revenge on one of my championship losses.
There you
Yeah,
go.
it was a high risk matchup though.
Yeah, I
For you personally?
the
Well, 'cause
narrative.
If you weren't gonna win, like almost anyone would have been better to win besides Alex.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And it's a little sweeter that he wrote it for me to win since he wanted to have that extra week.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
play Aaron Jones.
Yeah. Well, I actually feel like I'm glad that turned out all right because I feel like you and I, David, were at first kind of like, no, I don't want to do this, and then I kind of came around to it, and you were still like, no, I don't want to do this, and then eventually
And it was just something it was just in my gut. It was because Alex wanted it. I didn't want to.
Yeah. But I do think we'll probably keep that for next year if I had to guess.
I love
really
that.
liked it. I actually really
It was
liked
great.
Yeah.
And like I would have, like at least based on what Waldrop said, I would have lost to Chase, and then Chase would have at least been in the championship. Who would? We need to go back and look who Chase would have played.
I think Alex worked it out where it was either going to be Alex or Chase,
Okay.
depending on
Yeah.
I like Chase's team. I think Chase's team could be good next year again.
Yeah, I traded him a lot of stuff. He's got a good team.
And it's young too. It's Hurts, it's Etienne, it's DK Metcalf and CeeDee Lamb.
Yep. Khalil Herbert maybe is a thing. I don't know if he's a thing. Probably not. We'll see. All right. Well, on that note, hope to see you guys on again soon. We'll do some team audits. Maybe Penny, we can get more of your thoughts on an exclusive podcast here in a little while and talk about your trade anxiety more and have a therapy session of some sort.
Might need to get
Nothing to be
exercise or
afraid.
something.
Let's just
Get a
find
priest in
you
here.
like a nice we'll trade away a 4th round pick or get you a 4th round pick, just something to break the seal, just kind of ease you back into it.
All
I'll be
right.
open to it.
All right. Well, awesome. Well, thanks for coming on, guys. I appreciate it.